Yeah, hi all friends. As we discussed in the last discussion, mm, what we have discussed in the last discussion means car will have a properties, and it is having a action points that is called a methods. Okay, you can call it as a functions also here. Okay, so now here we can see there is a string. We have defined the string. Okay, so okay, here we have defined the string. Okay, string gears, and it is having a 5 gears. Okay, and the action. Okay, action is here we can say y dot gear. Okay, apply gear. So it's a typo mistake only, so it is a apply gear. Okay, so now so as we discussed earlier, so we need to create a object, and we should call inside the main method, right? Okay, so if you first to go through the previous lessons and coming to here, you can understand more on this part. Okay, and here I have already described a note above. So as discussed earlier, we are defining the properties of car using a string, but here what I highlighted here, but but we have multiple ways to define the string properties. Okay, so now coming to the string, so we can see first what are the advantages and disadvantages of string first. Okay, so it's a reference type. So for example, we have a multiple types of variables, okay, in a string, but in that first we will discuss about string. So later we will discuss what are the types we have to define as a properties, that we will discuss in the later point. Okay, so first here string. Okay, it's a reference type variable. So referenced means in a one variable. So if you go out, okay, for example now it is a 5, so I want to add some text like 1 2 3 4 5, so like that. If you want to add a text, so that means, so you are storing a multiple values within a double quotation, that is called a string. Okay, this is also called one statement. Okay, you can mention here, this is a reference type variable. Its values are defining as a string literals. So if we are defining the values of a string, that is we can call it as a one literal. Okay, that's why we can call it as a string literal. Okay, and it is a unmodifiable variables. Okay, so whenever you have defining a string literal, so if you modify it will create a new literal, so it will not add to the existing string. So for example, I have um, if you see here, text, and I'm trying to modify the existing variable only text2. Okay, so this is a we can call it as a, these variables you can call it as a literal, right? So these variables store into one string pool area. Okay, string pool area, and in that pool area, so each variable it will allocate to a different location, that will point to different numbers. Okay, that is called a object reference numbers, string literal numbers also we can call it. Okay, so for example, this is I have defining a one literal. Okay, string test to test1. Okay, that will store into one literal. So again I am trying to modify. Okay, I want to some concatenate with the text1. Okay, so with the same variable I am using to assigning a new variable. Okay, so what it will happen means, it will not modify the existing one. Okay, it will override the existing one. It will create a new memory location for the literal. Okay, so this is a text1, this is a text2. So that means, so once you have created the object, you cannot modify. If you try to modify, it will create a new literal. It will store into different memories. Okay, this is the memory structure, how the strings will store in the memory structure. Okay, here we will discuss. Okay, it is an unmodified variable, means once you have defined, we cannot modify. If we modify it, it will store in a separate location. So this is the memory diagram which we have designed for the string. Okay. And you can call it as a one statement. What is a string state? What is a string means? It is a string used for storing the multiple values within the double quotation. Okay, and one more statement you can give. String, it is not a modifiable, so if you modify, it will create a new string. So that is also you can mention. If you want to call it as a string, we can call it as a string literal as well. Okay, so we have another way of instead of defining like this, we can create the object also using a string variable name equal to new string open bracket closed bracket. So we can define another way also for creating the string object, but so that will create into different location. Okay. For example, string new test one. So this is also we can create it, but first it will create the memory. Okay, using the new operator. Okay, so it will create two memories. So one is the test one inside the string pool area. Okay, another one, we are creating the object with a new operator that will create store in the method area, which will point to the string pool area. Okay, these are the two ways we can create the string. Okay, later we will discuss in the programmatically, so how we can compare these strings, and that we will discuss later. Okay, so now it is a one more way of defining the string. Okay, so this is also we can call it as a string reference type. Okay, and its values defining as a separate memory location. Yeah, so as we discussed, this is a memory structure. Okay, so this is a hello hi one, so it will point to a referenced variable. This is called a object referenced. We can call it as a hash code in a programmatically. So using the hashing algorithm, it will generate the each unique number for each object that will created by using new operator. Okay, so here you can call it as a, here you can see string buffer new string buffer hello. Okay, and I am appending a new value to the existing string. So for example, hello hi, so I want to add one more hi to hello. Okay, so that I need to use, there is a function called append. Okay, buff.append. So it will store into same location, it will not create a new memory referenced variable. So but here when I trying to modify the existing string, so it will create a new string and it will store into a referenced, okay, new variable. Okay, new referenced. But here it is not like that. So that means we can create a we can modify the string buffer, so with the same object within the same object only. Yeah, okay, if you see, I am creating a new using a new operator. So because for every, whenever you are trying to create an object with the new, it will create a new memory. Okay, new hash code number it will generate, there it will store the data. So that's what. So here you can see we can modify the string builder. Okay, string builder is a synchronized, so that means we have a one of the concept called multi-threading. So in that the string buffer will not be useful, because by default string buffer is a synchronized, so it will give the performance issue. That's what I mentioned, the performance issue while doing a multi-threading operation. Yeah, so string builder also same, it is the as a string buffer only, but mm, it is a good performance in the multi-threading environment. You can say string buffer is a not a synchronous, so it will multi-threading environment it can be accessible, so it is a performance issue. So if you are trying to use string buffer, please don't use. So better to use the string builder only, it is the not synchronized. But whenever going to multi-threading environment, we need to provide the more security on the string builder. Okay, because it is not a synchronized, but it is a it will not give a performance issue because it is not a synchronized. Yeah, yeah, hope you can all understood. I hope it is understood for everyone, because this is a diagram structure for both the things. Yeah, easily I think you can understand. Yeah, thanks all, please subscribe.